Okay, so this is the real question. You know, we can't just listen to non-dual philosophy and concepts over and over again, saying like, okay, we don't exist, and nothing exists, and I don't exist, and I'm done, I got it. Like, okay, I figured it out. It just doesn't work like that. Man, there's so many mosquitoes out. I don't know. I'll do the best I can. We need, so what do we do? How do you actually make these pointings and apply this these pointings to our life so that there can be an authentic shift in perception and consciousness and a reorientation in our being so that we can experience the fruits of having a non-dual realization or awakening? This is the real question. How do we do that? You can't just do it by listening to things. People say the same thing, especially if the people that are saying it, they haven't really realized it themselves except on an intellectual level, because it has no power then. You want a transmission. You can't get there's two things that need to happen to get a spiritual transmission. Number one, you have to be open. And two, there has to be the being that's given a spiritual transmission, which he doesn't know most of the time, by the way, has to be a vessel that has really understood and imbibed these pointings in a way that they've become part of his nature now. Then when that person shares, or just their presence alone can give something, and then you're open so you receive it. That's what can happen, and that's the benefit of listening to somebody talk. But you got to have both of those ingredients. So how do we start this thing? First thing, we got to look at preparation. If I'm living, I figured this out a long time ago. Like, I couldn't just do a spiritual practice, meditation, yoga, and then expect, I'm like, well, nothing's happening. Maybe I feel a little good when I'm doing it, but inside I knew like something's missing, man. Like something's missing. The ego and the mind and the self-will was still full in effect. Like that, those energies haven't been transformed. So there's two ingredients, you can say, that need to be present to have a true realization of our true nature. First, preparation. And then the preparation needs to be underpinned with a spiritual practice. Those are the two things. What's preparation? Sattvic lifestyle, a lifestyle that's conducive for purifying the body-mind so that it can be, to some degree, have a semblance of balance, so that then this transformational process can detonate. Okay, now some may say, yeah, but I have health situations and chronic this and that, and my life situations is very difficult. I'm making a video on that, about like my life situation won't let me awaken, because that's important. It's not true, but it's important to discuss. So you do the best you can with making your lifestyle conducive for, you can say, an awakening recognition to happen. How? You got to look at the main areas. Now, I made another channel, Transcending Shadows. I get more into the practical level and stuff about diet and all these principles. So it's good to go see that if you're interested. I can't really put all that here because I gotta make these channels separate for many reasons. We got to look at what are the main aspects to make your lifestyle more sattvic and spiritual, conducive for these non-dual pointings to actually work. Diet, big deal, okay? A nice, clean sattvic diet that doesn't steal all your life force to digest this food. It makes the mind dull, it's less sharp, and so these spiritual messages, they can't penetrate so deep because we're not alert. Now, that's different for everybody, the diet. I'm not going to get into a debate about that, but you can see my other channel, I talk about it. Company we keep. Who am I hanging out with? Am I hanging out with people that are like bringing me down and lowering my vibration? You gotta look at that. The environment that I'm living in. Do I feel I should be in a different environment? Is inner sanction telling me I should, but I'm choosing not to because, I might miss my friends or etc. It's different if you're forced to stay there. That's okay, it's different. God will work that out later. There's some karma there that you need to finish and then you can leave. That's what happened to me when I was living in LA and selling cars, and I didn't like it, but what to do? And I'm not in that situation now. You got to look at your addictions and attachments and everything. People don't want to look, this dopamine addiction is super underrated. People are all dopamine addicts and they don't even know it. Just every day they're doing things to try to get a hit and stimulation, and so you got to look at that. Look at your addictions, because that keeps the mind like engaged. Your attention is on that rather than inside. It's logical, right? What's something else? Preserving your sexual energy. This is huge. This is like, you need energy for this transformational process. This transformational process isn't going to happen on the deepest level if it's just mental and intellectual and you understand some things about spirituality. And then you go on, there's a lot of people doing that. And the Osho ashram was full of that after he died. Yeah, eat the pizza and drink the beer, and you can buy condoms at the local store there, and they have different colors because we're going to do tantric sex and we're going to raise the energy. It's just they totally took spiritual principles and polluted it. So preserving your sexual energy, you lose a lot of energy when in the sexual realm. Check your life and see. I have other channels for that too, so I'm not going to get too deep into that. If you're a guy, go see Beyond the Alchemy. And if you're a girl, go see Divine Femininity. And I talk about those things. So look at that aspect of your life. So then when you start cleaning your life up and bringing it back into some kind of semblance of spiritual balance, then your spiritual practice is going to be more efficient. Yeah, you should have a spiritual practice too, okay? At some point, the spiritual practice no longer becomes a practice, and it just becomes, this is what you do. You check in. Now, and you just feel this presence, this consciousness that's driving this human car. You're focusing more on the presence, more on the driver than you are the car. And don't get non-dual and say there's no driver, there's no car. Okay. But there's many different, depending on your character and temperament and archetype and prakriti, there's many different, God's put many different vehicles, spiritual practice vehicles and forms for you that appeal to your particular constitution. It can be, it doesn't have to just be non-dual, and it can be mixture. It can be yoga or meditation, breathing exercises, certain, pranayama and different kriyas and bandhas and mudras. It can be japa, it can be mantras, it can be prayer, it can be worshiping a being, a form that God took form, Jesus or Buddha or Muhammad, or India, they have hundreds of different gods you can worship. Some people are more tuned, they're more bhakti oriented, and somehow that gives them some direction, some tangible thing. And they feel, most important, they feel in their heart, they have some connection with this deity. And so then they worship it and they give their energy to it. And then in time, there's a fusion. Their lower self gets to merge with their true self that at first they're projecting into the other form, but then they realize, oh wait, it's actually in me. There's many different ways we can do that. So that's the whole point. That's the message. In summary, is you fix your lifestyle up so that your mind it's more quiet. If your mind's not quiet, how are you going to your spiritual? What are you going to do? You're going to be repeating a mantra, okay, Om Shanti Om, but really the voice is louder. It's superseding your spiritual practice if your attention is on some kind of habit or I don't feel good or whatever, in some thought stream. Your attention on the thought stream is stronger than what you feel when you put your attention on, you can say, your inner self. So that's why we got to make our lifestyle better. It raises the vibration and frequency of our body and mind and emotional body. And so then we're at a higher level to where we can actually direct our attention on what we want to direct it on to. And so then you direct your attention onto your spiritual practice, and then it bears more fruits. And then the awakening starts to accelerate. So let me see, did I miss anything? Yeah, don't just sit around and listen to people say nothing exists. It's not going to work, you know. But you might have to do that to see that it don't work. That's cool. Yeah. Lastly, the ego loves non-duality. It loves Advaita and non-duality and self-inquiry. It tells you, yeah, man, this is the best spiritual practice. Go do that. Why? Because these practices are the easiest for the ego to hijack and imitate and keep you asleep while imagining that you're awake. The ego loves that. So that's why you got to be careful and catch yourself out. They're great practices because they're so direct. They're so direct, like you don't exist. But the mind takes that and then parrots it, and then it's like worse than before you even found the non-duality. But there's something penetrating about that when the invitation is there to look and see and contemplate, like, what does it mean I don't really exist? Something exists. Yeah. Put your attention on that. What is this thing that exists? Get swallowed up in that. Have a good day.